With the first scene of our protagonist landing on the boobs of a stranger and a panty flash in the next, it would be no surprise to me that people would write off the show as just another run-of-the-mill ecchi TV show. However, Summertime Render is one of the better underwatched shows of 2022. Summertime Render is about Ejiro Shinpei who returned to his hometown to attend the funeral of his stepsister, friend, and crush Ushio Kofune. As one might suspect, this town has dark shadow monsters and it's up to him to stop them. To top it all off, he also has the ability to look back in time every time he dies. The look back genre has been a favorite in anime, with Steins Gate and ReZero as the ones that I am most familiar with, and both receive high praise. With Steins Gate at the time of this recording having the fourth highest MAL rating. So how does Summertime Render compare to those shows? Well, it was criticized for having underdeveloped characters when compared to the other time loop shows. However, I enjoyed it because I thought of it as more of a hybrid mystery action thriller plot driven show rather than a character focused thriller. I said hybrid because of something that happens in the middle of its season. While most time loop shows tend to focus a lot on the pain and gore that the protagonist and his friends repeatedly endure, Summertime Render spends most of its time on how they defeat the antagonists. They don't focus so much on the characters solving internal struggles but rather external ones, which may seem boring to people, but Summertime Render makes it work by making our protagonists competent. Like in two loops, Shinpei was able to grasp what his powers were and who the enemy is. With a few more, he was able to plan strategies that make sense and doesn't feel like asspools. Not only would Shinpei incrementally unravel the mystery of the monsters of the island, but to become an active threat to them. Instead of the highlight of the show being eaten alive by bunnies, the best scene of the series where Shinpei and his entire group work together to take down the main villain. Which is interesting in that while most other shows keep our hero isolated to double down on the tension, Summertime Render is not afraid to inform and involve other characters besides the main protagonist. Like in the second loop where Shinpei realizes that he has looping abilities and identifies that shadows are real, he simply gathered evidence by planting a camera on his house and shared the video of the shadow to Mio and So. When he approaches Nagumi-sensei about his looping abilities, she immediately believes Shinpei without much fuss, but still believable for the character. In Summertime Render, by episode 15, almost all of the relevant characters know that Shinpei is looping and actively participates in the plot. Episode 15 is probably the turning point of the whole series, where the anime changes genre from mystery to action, hence why I call it a hybrid mystery action. It rewards the viewer with an action-packed episode with all the members of Shinpei's group contributing to the fight. The group even develops D&D-like roles with Ushio being the heavy hitter, Shinpei as the wizard, Toriko as the necromancer/warlock, Nezu as the hunter, Nagumo as the fighter. Comparing Summertime Rendering to a game may seem like a negative comment. However, the plan coming together and turning the tables against antagonists was so satisfying to watch because it was well explained, foreshadowed, and culminates in one of the best action scenes of its year, which I think covers for the show's deficits. Okay, even though I mentioned that the character development is not as good as the other shows, it doesn't mean that I didn't like any of the characters. In particular, I really like Ushio's tomboyish and cute personality, and she grabs attention whenever she is on screen. The moment she appeared in the story was memorable, and her comeback was pretty hype. Okay, Shinpei is pretty bland compared to Okube and Subaru, but he's serviceable enough as a detective for a mystery anime, and the leader of an action anime a la Lelouch. Overall, I'd recommend this show for a good time.